All right. Well, hey, coaches. It is Dee and Meg. We are here for our Monday night team time. Great to see you guys. Monday nights, I mean, they're great for learning, they're great for education, inspiration. But, for me, my favorite part is just the connection, the community. And I think most of us, when we think about what do we love about Optavia, what's made the biggest change in our lives is the people. So we are glad you are here. We know time is busy. Sometimes you may not feel like it, but the fact that you show up is just such a great investment in yourself for so many reasons. And tonight's going to be a really valuable call. I'm excited about it. Meg and I were on a leadership call on Friday, and they really talked about change management and really brought up how much change we really have been going through as coaches, as a company. And we wanted to bring some of that because I got great value from it. I know that Meg did too. And as I really processed this, I realized, you know what? These are some of the stuff we're going to talk about will be tools that we can use with our clients as they're navigating their own change in their own life, their own change in their personal health, their own transformation. So that is all good. So we also want to start every call with some tell me something good, or spotlighting some coach spotlights on some good stuff that's happening. And Meg, I wanted to kind of turn it over to you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we wanted to announce as well that we were on that leadership call that Dee was talking about that we were on recently. We heard from Nick Johnson, the horse's mouth himself, that the cereal is coming back as soon as possible. So we wanted to bring that straight to you guys that it is coming. Should be any day. I know I had no idea the cereal was such a hit, but apparently I'm going to be ordering it soon.
It's not even one of my regular fuel lanes, but when it wasn't available, suddenly I wanted it. So
I know the psychology, right? That's amazing. Absolutely. Well, so we want to hear something good. Who's got something good that they can share with us? Maybe something in your personal health or in your business. We would love to hear from you.
you got something, Debbie?
Yeah, I was talking to my newest client. Now I have 4 people, and so I'm like going for 5. One of my newest client she's just like, she's a rock star. This girl's like, she was laughing at me when I was telling her 5 minutes a day. She was like, let me explain to you how ADD brains work. And I was like, okay, fine. And so like, just I'm excited about her because she's so on fire and so like ready to read. And she's like, what else can I do? What else can I do? She's so excited. So I just love, like, when you tell people, like, I learned about trying to get people to like, hey, send me a picture every day for your first 8 days, and I'm going to put in my stories and blah, blah, blah. And some people I'm like, oh yeah, where's that picture? Like when they agree, but this one's just like, she's on it. Like before I even ask for it, she's doing what she's agreed to do. And it's just really exciting when you have somebody who's really just like ready. So I'm just excited about, sometimes things are easy and sometimes things are hard. I just feel like maybe I'm entering a season of things working out really well. So that's my good thing.
Isn't it cool how quickly that shift can happen where you're like, oh, things are just going into place and rocking and rolling. And sometimes it could be that one client. Like I've got a new client. She's on day 5. She's a reactivated client. And she was like, I forgot how good this feels. I'm in control. I've got energy. I'm dancing as I'm putting together sandwiches in the morning. So great to hear that from clients. Well, one of the things we also wanted to start doing on these calls is shouting out some coaches that we see that are just doing really cool and amazing things. And so one of those coaches we wanted to shout out today was Elizabeth Manfroni. So Elizabeth, we would love to just highlight you. And I know you have shifted in your energy lately. You've also shifted in your action. And because of that, cool things are happening. Would you share with us?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Meg. That means a lot. So last week when we were on this call, I am just going to be honest, and I had a billion things to do and I almost didn't prioritize it, but I did because I remembered that consistency makes me show up different. And so I was listening to our amazing mentors, and Dee asked the question that kind of shot me like an arrow. Are you a diet coach or are you a health coach? Like, do you just coach the 5 and 1, or do you really get in there and figure out what their clients are looking for and how to excite them and how to walk alongside of them? And it got me into this really creative space where I started to view things differently. And so I started to really explore myself first. What was I looking for? Because I'm currently in fat burn. And how is it different than the first time that I was in fat burn? And who am I now versus then? And what appeals to me now? And kind of came up with this idea to create a bundle, and was like, I'm going to go for it. It might work, it might not. I don't know. Let's make it cutesy. I love alliteration. The Busy Bee Bundle. And I wanted to price it under $200 because for my community, that is a really safe price point. There's a lot of things in my community that people will be like, "Ooh, yeah." And it's like right under 200. And so I just made a cute graphic. And honestly, guys, I just went into my account and I added some things to my cart and was like, let's do, like, if they just wanted snacks, and if they, oh, well, they're probably gonna need some added energy. So I added an amino acid in there, and weekly coaching, obviously, because we're trying to teach them about the benefits of having our program and what would that total be. And so that was the price I slapped on there. And I started a lot of really good conversations from that. And the one that was most notable was my father-in-law. My father-in-law, who has done fat burn before when I was in my massive 64 pound journey, he joined me then. And he's just kind of been watching and doing his own thing. And he, while I was away this weekend for a wedding, he commented on this bundle, and my mother-in-law commented on the bundle separately. And then when we got home, they were like, "Hey, Liz, are you home? Can you call us?" And so I called them, and he's a salesman. So he's like, "Okay, what's your spiel? What's going on?" And and so I just, started talking to him about, like, what are you interested in? And, well, where are you at? And he stopped me and he was like, "You're totally different now. What happened?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I guess it's just I have had the opportunity to help a lot of people, and I know this works, and I know it worked for you last time, and I know there's no need for you to waste money on something that's not going to work. So let's figure out what you want and then just move forward with that." And he just, like, visibly relaxed, guys. And that energy shifted our conversation. And now he is whole foods approach, trying to build the skills while he waits for his order. So just like you, Debbie, I've shifted and I have 4 now. So I'm like, why not 5? Why not find somebody else that is ready to get healthy? And riding that wave of energy to remember that we are health coaches, and it's okay for us to be messy, and it's okay for us to try new things. And if they work, amazing, you've helped someone. And if they don't work, then you just move on to the next thing. Does that help?
Yeah, I feel like mic drop, I mean, you talked about consistency. I also loved how you heard something that was a spirit check in yourself, and you could have gotten defensive. You could have been like, whatever. That's an example of like change. You decided to look within and how can I show up differently? But also what I heard was true coaching, right? When you start talking to somebody about what do they need? What are they looking for? You don't need to waste your money. What are we going to do different this time? That's true coaching, and look how it's flowing, right? The energy is flowing. So that is super awesome. Speaking of consistency, I don't want to forget this by the end of the call. Don't forget that we are doing the watch parties immediately following. The topic tonight is actually on consistency. So if you haven't invited your clients, or if you have somebody you want to invite them in. And then next week, we're actually talking about element 4, and I'll be hosting, and Monica Lennon on our team will be sharing. So that'll be a great one because we know element 4 is such a game changer, building a healthy mindset. So somebody I have partnered with, probably only one other person on this call I partnered with as long, is Vicki Feldman. So she's our next coach spotlight, because Vicki is, she's not always vocal. You don't always see her, but she's always out there and she's doing the do and doing what she can when she can. And so I'm watching, I'm like, Vicki, she's rolling in the back office with, 6 entities for the client support bonus, 3 of which are new clients. So just wanted to shout out to you, Vicki, and kind of share with the group, as a veteran coach, how do you keep it going?
I wish I had a formula. I don't have the formula. I guess, yeah, I'm going on 11 years. So it's just kind of mind-boggling because it feels like it was just yesterday. But so I have I have 2 reactivated clients. One actually had a baby and is going to be doing the Nursing Moms program. So, and then I've got somebody who just is kind of like, has put on like the little extra 5, and I see her at Orange Theory. And so she's really interested in doing the amino. So that's another one. And then I just have somebody that, gosh, I probably had breakfast with her over a year ago, and there's a couple of other people that she's watching on plans. She knows that it works. And because we've got the Commit to Health, she and her husband are both, they both just placed their order. So I think the biggest thing for me, and I mean, personally, and it's probably why, for those of you that have known me for a long time, I've been pretty quiet these days, but I'm just struggling with some life issues. But I still try and show up. I still try to stay engaged, because I know, like what Elizabeth said, sometimes you're just not in the mood. Sometimes you just want to go sit in a corner and read a book or whatever. But there's always an element of motivation. It's kind of like our clients. They get on the calls. They may not want to get on the calls, but they always walk away with a nugget. There's also somebody that I had spoken to probably, gosh, it was probably pre-pandemic. She's a physician, and she was with, big practice here in Atlanta. And she just showed up the other day and said, "Hey, I'm concierge now. I'd love for you to come in and talk to my staff." So I'm doing that on Friday. So, where it leads, I don't know, but I guess just finding your voice when it's appropriate. Like the girl who's jumping on with her husband. I mean, it was just after a class, and I said, "Hey, I know we connected a long time ago. Don't know if you've given this any more thought, but just want you to know we've got this Commit to Health." And that's when she said, "I've been thinking about it because I just watched X, Y, and Z." And so I just said, reach out to me. And it took her 3 days, and then boom, I got the text. So that's the thing, is like, you don't, I think the biggest thing is that you don't always know the seeds that are planted, how long they're going to take to grow, or if they're ever going to grow. But sometimes you have those unexpected seeds that pop up that you had forgotten about. And in a lot of these situations, I'm explaining that's kind of what's happened. So I just always keep contending, keep moving forward. And the reality is, there have been many times where it would have been really easy to walk away, but I'm back on 500 today because I need it. You know what I mean? Like I just know that I feel better, and I know I haven't been feeling good. And now that I've got these other clients, like, it just helps keep you in the game too. Cause it's so easy to just let everything go. So anyway, that's
so good, Vicki. Thanks for keeping it real, and it's always a slow drift, right? And I always view it like coaching is not only just for helping other people, or maybe your financial goals or family goals, but for our own accountability. There's just something about staying connected in the system, just keeps you tethered, to what we know is true. So I also love that your clients from a variety of places, right? Somebody coming on Nursing Moms program, the active program. That active bundle does expire. The special that they're doing, the special pricing, March 31st. So if you've had anybody who's been teetering on that, or if you're looking to, make some new connections this week, that might be something to be working as well. So very good. Well, awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth and Vicki. Before we jump into the discussion on change and kind of the 4 things to process change, wanted to just do a quick shout out and reminder that Dr. Ray and Dan Bell are starting their Momentum Tour on April 27th. And I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about it tonight because it's going to be April 1st next Monday, and April 27th is going to be here before you know it. And the April 27th event, although we don't have an event local here in Atlanta yet, we're hoping for the fall. The April 27th is going to be a live stream event. And this is going to be a live stream event that you pay one price for, and then you're going to have access to the recordings, and that will give you access to Dr. A's program presentation and also Dan Bell's business presentation. So you'll have a fresh tool that you could then use. They're also going to provide guidelines for hosting a watch party with it, if you would like to invite people to come in to your live stream, or if you would like to host an event in your home. So, so that is awesome. There is also a new short 1-minute video from Dr. A. It's actually designed for clients. I just think for the sake of time, I'll just post that in the coach group for us to watch. But I just want to make you aware of it because April 27th will be here before you know it. And I'll pop the link in the chat on how to get more info on all of that. So Meg, you want to take it for a sec on our next?
Absolutely. Well, so as Dee mentioned at the beginning of the call, we've had a lot of change around here in the last little bit. So we'd love to hear from you all. What are some of the biggest changes that you've experienced in the last year? And we're talking about in your business, in the company. What have you seen? What are some of the biggest changes in the last year? If you'll put that in the chat, we'd love to talk through them with everyone. I know we've had some change, so I'm excited to see what people are thinking about right now.
Meg, are you asking about
Yeah.
biggest changes like in our personal businesses or in Optavia, or what are you asking?
Both. Yeah. Whatever comes to mind. So in your own business or in Optavia as a whole, what difference or changes have you seen?
Since I'm already unmuted.
Go for it, girl.
I am so excited and happy that we're moving into the wellness arena. It's just, I want to watch us keep on going in that direction. I want to see us start using the pea protein, and just going more towards like health and wellness and just life longevity and all those things versus just like the weight loss plan, so I'm very, very excited about that.
That's awesome, Debbie. Lucy put in the chat the medically supported weight loss and the active line, two changes in and of themselves, right? And the change to qualifying volume for the Client Support Plus. And I believe she's talking about it's $150 now in personal qualifying volume that you will qualify for the Client Support Plus. So yes, Lucy, those are two big ones. Elizabeth shared shift into an authenticity on social media. So being more authentic with your voice on social media, which I agree. That's another great one. Much more effort. Okay, this is another one. This is great. Keeping it real that we've got to be more intentional about our businesses in general. It takes more effort to hit ED these days. And I don't know, blink or raise your hand if you feel like, okay, yes, it takes more effort to get whatever I'm doing these days. I agree with that. So there's, and I love that the chat now that we have you all talking, everybody's bringing things up, which is great. Lucy shared that she feels like there's more we can offer and we can be more creative with our clients and not just doing the 5-in-1, which is great. Dee, that's a great list. Is there anything that we're missing?
I think, yeah, we kind of hit on it. We were talking about the variations in social media, right? That we have to show up differently, more transformational, more authentic than the transformational before and afters. They just don't hit like they used to. The other things we had done, clients postponing orders. Feels like there's been more of that, right? That's been a change we've been having to face, kind of all tied together, but maybe people's volumes being lower, like we're having to navigate all that, things being out of stock. And then also convention 2024 guidelines were changed this year. So there's been quite, I mean, like when you think about it, that's a lot to navigate, right? So I think the next question we would ask is, what kind of feelings has this brought up in you? Or what kind of responses have the changes brought up in you? You can pop it in chat or come off mute if you want. I mean, I'll be honest, for me,
I
I was gonna say, some of the changes, they brought up fear, stirred up fear in me, you know? Okay, see some nodding, see some nodding. How about you, Beth?
I was going, I totally forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, shoot.
Never mind.
I want you to
I
come
really
back,
forgot what I was gonna say. Okay.
come back, because it'll pop in
Oh.
your head. It'll pop.
I would say for me, a lot of uncertainty, especially when it came to the medically supported weight loss and still a lot of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. All right, it's starting to flow now. Thank
Okay,
you, Julie. A feeling
I
of
remembered.
loss. Okay, go back.
Well, it's the ups and downs. I mean, like one day it's going great, and then something happens, and then get that feeling of why am I still doing this? And then the next day or week, you're like, yes, this is great. So that's what I've been struggling with. It's the highs and lows and the ups and downs.
Yeah, like
roller
a
coaster.
flipping roller
Yeah.
coaster, right?
Yes.
Peaks
Not
and
on
valleys.
dieting, no diet roller coaster, but business.
Yeah, emotional. Yeah,
Very
mental.
emotional lately. Yeah, with everything,
Yeah.
with all the changes.
And Kelly, I'll come to you in just a second, but Julie had mentioned, if you didn't see it, I love that, Julie, the appreciation of the feeling for loss. A little discouragement with it, but it seemed like you're navigating through it. We're going to talk about that. Doubt, frustration, and overwhelm. Vicky, yeah, sometimes we get too much change going on. It's frustrating, it's overwhelming. We can almost shut down as a result of it. So, Kelly, go ahead.
Me, with the different changes, I was like, I had to just, when we had this change and then we had another change and then another change. So what I was doing was just pick something to focus on. Pick something to focus on and do that. And then the other stuff doesn't have to be done. I mean, there's all these options. It's just like with all the things that we have as coaches, the resources that we have as coaches, we don't use all of them. They're there for us if we need them and they work for us. But we don't necessarily use all of them, every single person using all of them, doing it exactly the same way. So I think with a lot of these things, that's what I did, is I was just like, okay, let me focus on what I think is more applicable to what I can address and then go from there.
That's such a valid point. As the sign behind me says, everything is figure outable, but it takes time, right? It's one step, one chunk at a time. What can I do next? And we'll be incorporating that. So that was a perfect setup. Meg, did you have anything to add before we move on, or any thoughts there?
No, but whatever Lucy, actually, yes. No, but let me just tell you one thing. What Lucy shared her word, and I really liked it. And now I can't find it, but let's see. It was really good, but it wasn't necessarily an emotion, right? That's one thing that I thought. And so trying to figure out what those emotions mean, I think, can bring a lot of value. But wanted to share a couple of the slides that we saw with our conversation with Nick Johnson last week, because I think it just adds to the conversation. So a good question that a lot of people ask. Oh, yes, Lucy. So she said uncertainty. And I just showed us some uncertainty there right in front of everybody, which made me feel stressed, anxious, all kinds of things, right? But the feelings, whatever story that uncertainty is telling you, it could tell you a good story or it could tell you a bad story. But even just identifying, okay, there's a feeling in there. Dee asked me today, I had something happen in my personal life, and she asked me, how does that make you feel? And I didn't even know. So I had to go a little bit deeper. But I think having an awareness of what that is so powerful, what those feelings are, because we can feel them without really being able to name them. Hopefully that makes sense. But we know there has been a lot of change. Like we just listed all the different things, and we probably didn't even talk about all of them, right? Awaken's one of them, the Dallas event, we've got change coming out of our eyeballs, it feels like, right? But I know, if I'm being real, I resist change just because I'm human, and I'm thinking we probably all do. And so let's look at why, as humans, we typically resist change. There's several reasons. Let's let's see. Hopefully can y'all see this? Is there something covering the screen? There we go.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can see it.
why do people resist change? Number one, they have a lack of understanding. They don't understand how all the pieces work. They're just operating maybe based on that emotion. They have a lack of understanding. Number two, change fatigue. They are tired of too much change. There's a lot of change happening. That's one reason people resist change. Something's out of stock again. Oh no, right? Number three, change cynicism. There's a lack of change permanence. It's, that question of, okay, is this really going to stick? Is this client support bonus going to go on for another month? If there's that lack of permanence, it makes people resist the change. Number four, that lack of buy-in or involvement. If any of us aren't bought in to what the change is, it's not going to be a successful change, right? Number five, leaders that don't walk the talk. Now, this one is one that stings, right? But if your leaders aren't walking the talk, then people are going to be resistant to the change. That's true. And then number six is a big one for me and probably for a lot of us, and that's fear. Fear makes us resist change. Dee, I know you have some great thoughts on the change reaction model that I'll put up on the screen.
Yeah. And so we're not going to spend a lot of time on all of this, but there's basically, and let me back up 1 second. Why it's important to understand this is, in these various stages, we kind of need to go through these stages, and it's typically growth happens. It's not unusual for even a decline in business to happen when there's a lot of change happening. But then when we reach the point of acceptance, then growth can happen, right? Because then we're working more in unison. So that's why they got like the rowboat. If you didn't know what that little picture was in the corner, but the 4 stages, and this might not be a perfect order for you. You may respond differently based on what the nature of a particular change is. And you can actually oscillate back and forth between these different levels. You can think you're doing good and then slip back. But the first one is like active resistance. Like, you know what? I'm not even going to promote this active program, like no pun intended, but you know what? I'm just not doing it. I'm not active. So therefore I'm just not going to, right? We just resist it completely. The second stage can be what's called detachment. And this is where we can kind of detach. And we saw this. I mean, I maybe ask yourself the question is like, when my business started slowing down, when we started seeing things change, when I started seeing that social media wasn't working the same, client acquisition, did I ramp up my efforts and completely go into a new game plan? Or did I maybe even withdraw and detach a little bit and actually stop? You know what I mean? And that hits us big time. There's the whole questioning, kind of parallels with some of the words that we were using, the fear, the uncertainty. I mean, how many of you guys have you even questioned your own ability as a coach in the past year? Have you ever questioned your own value? Have you even questioned, is what we're doing making a difference? Like, we can just get into a big questioning stage. Is this change really needed? Was it worth it? And then that final stage is acceptance, right? When we move through it, Julia kind of acknowledged that earlier. She was talking about kind of moving through it to realizing that, this is it. It's my new reality. So what's next? So Meg, let's take that down and kind of pop into the 4 questions.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know that there's no shame in any of these different stages, right? So, I think the most important thing is that we are aware of what stage that we're in, and we're able to we would love to use this language in our vernacular. So, it could look like, when you're on your mentor session, maybe saying something like, you know what, I'm feeling a little detached. Or maybe you don't even want to have a mentor session because you're feeling so detached, right? Or, hey, I've got some questions. I'm finding myself really questioning things. So just opening up those lines of communication, I think, are really, really important. So one thing to ask yourself when you notice, okay, you might be in one of these stages, you might be hearing a story, ask yourself, is it true? Is the story even true? Or is it fear talking? And then the next part is figure out what you can do about it. Take personal responsibility. The cereal is out of stock. It's beyond my power, your power, any of our powers, right? So what can we do? We can worry about it, or we can move beyond and come up with a game plan to help our clients adjust to this change and keep moving forward. Dee?
Yeah, I think that is good. I'm looking at the clock. We're actually kind of hitting up on the time. So we'll follow up with this conversation next week around it. But has it been helpful, you guys, to did it bring some awareness to like, wow, we've actually been navigating quite a bit. And I think that self-awareness, I've been studying up for my Element 4 presentation next week and talking about, Dr. A always talks about personal responsibility. And so first awareness, self-awareness is key. How am I showing up? How am I responding? And then personal responsibility. So what am I going to do with this? Because what we do not want to be indicating or expecting is that nobody jumps to, we would never say, you know what, just get on board. Let's go. Train's moving. Let's go. Like we are very self-aware that this is a journey we're going to, but being aware of that may expedite your process to acceptance with it. So I am going to end the recording on this. We are going to start into our watch party. I actually got several people in the waiting room, and Beth Bilton is working with us as our assistant on this, and she is going to set up our live stream for us. So take it away, Beth.